I know we got a couple guys on the line right now with some land development deals. So perhaps we can kind of use this as an open discussion, right, for all the investors in on the line to help provide some open feedback, open discussion around how they can maybe button up their deals, progress their deals. Um, it's kind of what I'm thinking. How do you guys feel about it in terms of using the time as such?
I think that makes sense. I mean, I want to. I have zero land development experience.
Mm,
It's one of the things, and you and I have talked about several different things, but real estate and development, generally speaking, is where I would want to land if I did venture into real estate. And obviously, to procure land and develop it is the first step if you're doing, something new, as opposed to a tear down of an existing property and rebuilding. So, yeah, I'm all for it, and um, just here to learn and pick people's brain around development of land and acquisition.
phenomenal. So to stick with that, then Dave, appreciate you hopping off mute and giving us your 2 cents there. Have you thought about different markets in terms of development that you might be looking at, whether it's domestically or internationally?
Domestically, I'll be very specific, and this is in reference to. So I have a cousin that lives here in Raleigh, North Carolina, and him and I had a conversation this summer, and he asked me, what I thought, and I really didn't have too much to comment because I just it's not my area of expertise. But he found some property that he was potentially going to acquire. It's like super cheap. And then his question was, well, what do I do with it after? How do I go about if I acquire this massive amount of property? Do I put a mall there? Do I put apartments there? Like, what is that process of a what to do and then where to do it. But yeah, to answer the question, long story short, it's domestic and it's within the city limits of Raleigh, North Carolina.
Okay. And well, before I go to another question, do we have any investors on the line who've done any deals in the Raleigh area?
Okay, so this is Jack. I haven't done any deals in Raleigh, but I can speak to, like some pointers or some tips that could help in that direction. I can speak from it from a lending perspective as well as far and also from a development perspective.
That would be
So,
phenomenal. Jack, why don't you give yourself just a 30-second intro for those who don't know who you are, as far as background
o-
wise?
okay, yeah. So my name is Jack Thomas. I'm a financial strategist. I've done everything in real estate from fix and flip to private lending to development. I manage a couple of private equity funds. Those funds own a couple of name brand hotels, and we're doing a development in the Caribbean now for a resort, for sustainable boutique resort. So, so, but basically, to give you guys insight, most of it comes down to strategic partnerships. So when you look at real estate, you want to look at, like five different components. Definitely legal, but you want to have a appraiser on your team. So your appraiser will help not just with valuation, but will help you get a firm understanding for highest and best use of that land. So if it's single family housing, that appraiser will be able to tell you that if it's more condensed and it might be a better play for multi-unit apartment complexes, that appraiser will be able to help you with that. And then your attorneys will be able to get you to the best path of making those things actually happen. You need to have a financial partner on board so you could get funding and have an understanding of how investments works from a financial perspective. So once you understand it through that lens, you'll be able to apply those strategies to make sure that you're purchasing the land or the property at the deepest discount because money is made on the purchase. You just end up receiving it later after you add value to it.
And
Did
Dave,
that? Yeah.
how does that land with you, Dave, in terms of like food for thought, follow-up questions.
That's perfect. I mean, it sounds like at least initially, getting that appraiser and having a conversation with them, whether it be for the first transaction or somebody that you probably continue to do deals with perpetually or something like that, but to help guide you through, if you do this, what is the highest and best use for this property? Should you do it based on that assessment? And then the financial partner makes sense also because they would be specialists in land acquisition and development. So yeah, that makes sense.
Gentlemen, how y'all doing?
Hey, Markayle, how's it going, good sir? Glad to have you.
Yeah, happy to be here.
All right, yeah, we were just kind of filling some time with some open discussions. Maybe that's something we can definitely continue. Dave, let's definitely keep that thread going. One, obviously help you guide you to, potentially your first fund, around land development. So, Markayle, I'll go ahead and, pass it over to you. Feel free to give yourself an intro and walk us through what you got today.
Yeah, sure. Greetings, everyone, and happy Friday to each of you. I'm Markayle D'Angelo Gray, from Charlotte, North Carolina, born and raised here. And I'm also developing a townhome development that I own and operate right here in the city. It's 15 units, build to rent community. I'm going to do a lease to own option after a 12 to 15 year term period for the residents to be enticed to stay long term with us. And it's been one heck of a journey. And I definitely apologize about earlier. I was on the meeting earlier, but there was an issue with the scheduling team, and we had the wrong time. And I'm just kind of like leaving out the gym now, so that's why I was a few minutes late. But I definitely believe in being on time and being punctual. So I just wanted to give you all that backstory so you can have some insight. So yeah, I acquired the land last May of 2023. I call it 30 for 30. I turned 30 May 7th last year, and then I acquired the land on May 30th of 2023. I did a 1031 exchange. I ended up getting the opportunity to acquire land from my grandma. I've been I've been the man in my family since I was 16. So I've been solving problems since a teenage boy. And my grandma came to me with, one of her problems. And that was she owed back taxes on her land last year. And she owed $3,500. And, I had it in cash. And I seen it as a real opportunity for me to acquire the land from her, transfer of ownership, transfer of wealth. And the initial plan was for me to build two houses on the land that I got from her, one for her and one for myself, or one for her and one for someone else that I was just going to sell off. But shortly after I got the land, as I got it sight unseen, I knew it was in a really great area of Charlotte. But I got it sight unseen, and there were some issues with the land. So I was in a bit of a pickle, per se. There were some issues with the land, particularly with the water pipes issues. So it was going to cost about 30 to 40 grand to fix. I ended up bringing one of my mentors, and he's like a top developer here in the city. I brought him out to check it out and to get his insight. He was like, yeah, Markayle, it's going to be about 30, 40 grand to fix. And, it's worth it, but it is going to be a costly endeavor. And at the time, I had got another parcel of land under contract while having that same parcel that I got from my grandma. So I was in a bit of a conundrum because, in my mindset and my mind frame, one asset is too close to none. So I've always been extremely ambitious, and I was just like, yeah, like one is just too close to none. So I ended up using the first asset as leverage to be able to get me 2.65 acres of land under contract, which was like 5 to 7 minutes up the street. So after I found out that it was going to cost 30, 40 grand to fix, I was just like, I don't think it's necessarily worth it when I have this opportunity to really get this new parcel to its highest and best use and really change the trajectory of myself and my family really forever. So what I ended up doing was I ended up getting one of my brokers on it, and he was like, "Yeah, Markayle, like if you wanted to sell this land, you can sell it right now for." I initially wanted 250 grand for it. It was a 0.765 acre parcel of land in the Mallow Creek area of Charlotte, North Carolina, and we ended up getting it down to $195,000 as the buyer said that it was gonna be some work to be able to get it pad ready. So they used that as leverage against my deal to ultimately talk me down to from 250 to $195,000. So I sold it. It took me like 2 days to sell it. I sold it for $195,000, and then I acquired the 2.65 acres of land right up the street for $175,000. And this was right before the UDO updated. And for those who don't know, a UDO is a Unified Development Ordinance. And every municipality has ordinances and zoning restrictions and these sorts of things. And Charlotte is no different. So I got the land, and then shortly thereafter, the zoning updated. So pretty much the zoning was formerly only for single family residences and communities that could be built on top of that land. And then once it changed, the land skyrocketed in value as we can now put a multifamily community on top of it just because of the zoning change. And I knew that going in, and I got the land for 175,000, and I just got a BPO on it, and it came back at $1.8 million. So that's a serious return. As my little, like my only cash basis was the $3,500 that I initially put in, and then I got a surveyor that I paid $2,500 for to survey my land, and then of course my pre-development costs. But I had started raising capital from private investors that gave me my money for the pre-development costs, and I've been moving forward ever since. So currently, we are in the entitlement process. We will have a fully entitled project by the end of this year for 15 townhome units. The cost of development will range between 3.8 to $4.4 million in total, and that's with the horizontal, i.e., the land development, and the vertical construction of the units. So yeah, that's Gray's Landing, and we have some other projects going on as well. But if anyone has any questions about Gray's Landing, or about the mindset that it took and some of my challenges, I'm definitely an open book for sure.
Wow. Well, appreciate the story, and also we look forward to kind of hearing the journey as it's still going on, and obviously what's next. I know I have a host of questions. Always a curious guy. Want to open the floor up, though, for others, in case there are some questions in line. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to pop off mute.
I do have one question. Is it Markayle, or it's Markayle, right?
Yes, this is Markayle.
Okay. Thank you so much for presenting today and sharing your story. The question is timing. So you said you acquired that first half acre from your grandmother in a 1031 exchange in May of 2023.
That's correct.
And then how did you find out about the other property? And then in terms of financing, this I was just trying to get the timing of it. So 35 for the land from your grandmother, and then did you sell that first and use that to fund the other purchase, or did you finance the other purchase and then pay off the loan after you sold the other property?
Yeah, great question. So yeah, I used the first parcel of land to finance the second purchase. So I own the deed to the 2.65 acres of land. I mean, I own the deed to the first one too, to the 0.765, and then I got the deed to the 2.65 acre lot right up the street. But yeah, I sold it for 195,000. And then before I even could sell it, I was doing my due diligence on qualified intermediary companies, like Old Republic, that would essentially be responsible for the funds and really deploying the funds for me, as those funds from the sale did not come to my account, but went to their account. And since it went to their account, I wasn't taxed on the sale of the 195. I was only taxed on the difference between the 195 and the 175, which is really, it pales in comparison. So that's how I did it.
And how'd you hear about the second one? The 2 point.
Oh yeah. Good question. So, being someone born and raised in Charlotte, I just used the fact that I was young, black, and ambitious, really to my benefit for once in my life. As oftentimes, at least in my experience, being black and being male and having a culturally black name has kind of held me back initially when I was like seeking job opportunities and these sorts of things. Nevertheless, I took it upon myself to use the fact that I was from the city as leverage. And since I was already an owner of that parcel of land within that community, I was just really curious about who else had land in the area. And then I remembered the stories that my mom used to tell me as a kid growing up about this lady who owned a bunch of land that was really close to my grandmother. And it just so happens that she's still living, and it just so happens that like she stayed literally on the opposite side of where I purchased that 0.765 acre lot for my grandma. So one day I just, I was using this GIS tool called Polaris, and here in Charlotte we have like Polaris, and it allows real estate investors and developers like myself to be able to look at what parcels are zoned for, to be able to see who owns certain parcels of land, to see like the tax assessed value, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I found out what her name was, and then I put her name into Google, and then I just kind of like made up in my mind that any phone number associated with her name, I was going to just spend the entire day calling, and God God just allowed me to call her on the first try, the very first ring. She picked up, and it was her house number, her house phone. Then I told her who I was, and she was just real sweet. And as soon as she said baby, and then as soon as she said how your grandma doing and your mama, I knew it was a wrap. So I really like used that and really like built that relationship. And I asked her about what parcels of land she still owned, and she told me about the 2.65 acres of land. And she said to contact her realtor, and I contacted her realtor the next day, and we started discussing numbers. And they started at 350,000, and I was able to get them down significantly to 175,000 for the acquisition price.
Gotcha. So she got out of the deal with 175 for her property.
That's correct. So she got $175,000 cash at the closing table. But she still had to pay her realtor. She still had to pay taxes, long-term capital gains on that. It wasn't all $175,000 cash, but
Right, but
essentially,
generally
yeah.
though, she was the one. So she she was the one that walked away with some cash, and I'm assuming the satisfaction that you will be, developing this and making the highest and best use of it, from that perspective.
Absolutely. Yep. Because she already had people contacting her, particularly, white developers who wanted to buy it from her.
Exactly. That was my thought. I was like,
Yep.
in my mind, I'm thinking, people probably calling her a lot. But
Yeah.
that's impressive, man. I mean, in terms of, and that's why I asked about the how'd you hear about the other part, because that's like a gold mine in a sense, and just is like a testament to your persistence and really going after, because sometimes things present themselves in such a way and we kind of like not think about it or like blow it off. I won't say blow it off, but just that chain of events is very impressive. And so kudos to you. My wife and I used to live in Charlotte for like, well, we lived in Charlotte for about 3 months back in 2010. And then we moved to the DC area in August of 2010. So,
Right.
so moderately familiar with the area, but it's an awesome place to be. And you and I share a birthday. So
Oh, nice. Yes, sir.
as soon as you said it, I was like, I'll wait till the end. But yeah, we definitely have to link up.
I'm with it. Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm definitely with it. You know, I'm more than willing to, you know, share my contact information and, you know, let me know when you're available and we can connect. I pretty much own my time these days. So, you know, just let me know for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And thanks again for presenting and sharing your story.
Yeah, no problem at all, David. Thank you. Thank you for your questions. And I look forward to connecting with you more.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Phenomenal, phenomenal. Are there any other questions in the crowd regarding just the process that Markayle typically takes around land evaluation, structuring deals, sourcing capital? Open the floor up.
Sure. Yeah. So I have a quick question for you, Markayle. How you doing?
Hey, Sean, I'm doing excellent. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Winning on all levels, as Jewel would say.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes, sir.
yeah, so I had a quick question with regard to your zone valuation, like your zone change. When you changed your zoning, remind me on how high that valuation went up when you did that.
Yeah, certainly. So, few things there. I didn't change the zoning. The city changed it. So the
Of course.
municipality of Charlotte, they changed it from a single family lot to a single family duplex, triplex, or even possibly quad by right without me having to go through the rezoning process. And that was really for a few reasons there, because the amount of people that's moving to Charlotte on a daily basis, it's been about 150 people that's been moving here for several years now. And Charlotte as a city, we don't have the inventory to match all of the new demand. So as a result, the city was almost pretty much forced to change the density to be able to match the new demand, you know, of all the people that's moving here. So that initial, okay, so for some insight here, the lot was evaluated, or what was valued at like 80 grand back in 2018. And you know, this is way before I came along and got it. And this is also way before a lot of the new development took place within a 1 to 3 mile radius of where I acquired the parcel. So 2018, it was valued at 80 grand. And then in 2020, a a very large developer called Mattamy Homes, and I think they're like the largest privately owned development company in the nation, if I'm not mistaken. Mattamy Homes, they acquired several acres literally in the same neighborhood of where the 2.65 parcel is at, because they seen the massive opportunity to obviously, you know, bring it to its highest and best use and build to sell. And they understood, you know, area median income and these sorts of things. So they took the risk to acquire raw land, and then they developed the land horizontally, and then they went vertically. So to at present time, it took them like 2 years to build the neighborhood all the way out. So it took them like 1 year to get the land rezoned, because remember, this is before the UDO. And then it took them 2 years to build roughly about 120 townhomes in the same area where the 2.65 acres is located. And then that valuation skyrocketed as it changed from strictly being able to develop, you know, single family homes on it, to now I'm able to develop multifamily units on it, no different than Mattamy.
Right. And how what was the difference of value on the property?
Okay,
Where'd it go?
yeah. So the difference in value on the property went from 80 grand to our tax assessed value is now at $500,000. And then that's just like where we are, like have to pay our taxes at, and that's like $3,500 a year for me. And then the BPO came back at $1.8 million. So I acquired it for 175 cash, and then it skyrocketed in value to 1.8 million.
Okay, yeah, so that's phenomenal. Now my question is though, like, have you developed a system to actually find um land deals that might have a strong, probability of doing the same based on, assessment of developers in the area doing the same thing that this developer did, or is this just kind of happenstance and you kind of lucked out on this one?
No, this is a good question. I mean, to your point, timing is everything. So it's not necessarily every day where you're going to find, or even I'm going to find a parcel of land, and make a really great land deal on it. And then it skyrockets in value because of the zoning update. The zoning typically only updates every like 8 to 10 years, if I'm not mistaken, in a major city. So, finding another parcel of land like this in Charlotte is not necessarily likely, particularly on the zoning side. However, when it comes to land evaluation, I definitely know how to do that. And I teach people how to evaluate land, how to acquire land at really great deals, and then how to raise the capital necessary to be able to develop it and have different exit strategies, and really understanding like your big four, the big four meaning, your pre-development, and then your horizontal, and then your vertical, and then your post-construction slash exit strategies, whether that's build to sell, build to rent, what type of units are you going to build a grade, mid-grade, custom. These sorts of things are definitely critical before even acquiring the land. You want to have all your due diligence done before the buy, if you can help it. And we have a system around that for sure.
Cool, man. Appreciate you.
No problem at all.
Another great question. So we got Justin that came off of mute. Justin, got a question, sir?
Apologies, I think my headset was linked to the laptop still. But Markayle, this is really inspiring and great information to hear another 30 something being able to talk about so readily. And I guess on a more interpersonal level, on top of being the man of the house growing up, and you talked about mentorship, but how did you get so much knowledge on this development space, and being able to sit at the table for sourcing capital type conversations, zoning conversations,
Yeah.
understanding tax law? It sounds like, how did you get here?
Nah, that's a great question, and really, really, really great question. So back in 2019, and give y'all like some backstory here. I'm a former middle and high school English teacher, and as a former teacher, I had the highest test scores amongst all English teachers, and I was the youngest Black male teacher teaching a core subject ever since I graduated from North Carolina Central back in 2015 with my degree in English. So I always had like a sense of like excellence, and I always like was like hyper focused on giving my all and giving my best to whatever I actually pursued. But I just realized really quickly as a teacher that from like a financial compensation standpoint, the impact was there, but like from like getting financially compensated, I just couldn't see myself retiring as a school teacher, based upon my family needing me in a multitude of ways, and really based upon the vision that I had for myself. So back in 2019, or maybe it was even 2020, I had read three books: The 10X Rule, Think and Grow Rich, and The Millionaire Next Door. And it really changed my perspective on relationships, capital, mindset, et cetera, et cetera. And then shortly thereafter, I started investing into the stock market. And then I started an investment group of young Black male and women investors. And it grew from like three of us to 50. And then from 2020 to 2022, we were really making a lot of money in the stock market and in cryptocurrency. And then as the creator of the group that I call Victory, I ended up telling them that I was going to really just pivot and change my focus from investing so heavily in the stock market to now really looking at real estate, particularly real estate development, as a real value, a real means to be able to create huge lump sums of value and money and positive impact in the community, as I felt like that was a little bit more sustainable and almost slightly recession proof, depending on what seat you sit at. And then I like left the group that I created in 2022, and then I was scrolling on my Instagram one day, and I seen a black guy, and he's a developer, and he kind of like reminded me of my uncle, tall, bald head, successful. He had motion right here in the city. And then he was talking, and he was like, I'm about to start my first real estate development boot camp. He was like, for those who are interested, like send me a DM. And then it was just like the light bulb went off, because I had some liquidity. I took a lot of my capital out of the markets because I also felt like winter was coming. So I took my capital out before like the huge downturn. And I was just like, this is the time for me to put up or shut up. So he pretty much interviewed me like 2 or 3 times. And then he was like, I really like you. And he told me how much that it was going to cost for the course. And I was like, that's not cheap. And then I thought to myself, scared money don't make money. And then I put the money up, and it was the top of 2023 when I started taking his development course. And it was like a 6-week boot camp. And I just went in with the mindset to ask the most questions, to be on time, and to ultimately show maybe something different than maybe everyone else that was in the class, by asking a ton of questions, and by maybe even being like a teacher's pet, because I was just so hungry for the information. And I wanted him to know that. I wanted him to see that. And I didn't really care what anyone had to say, because I knew that what it was going to do for me. And before the course ended, I ended up getting the 2.65 acres of land. And then it was like my own idea to do the 1031 exchange, because I was just learning so much in and outside of the course. And then I haven't looked back since. So I ended up getting fired as a teacher due to systemic racism. And my story is on ABC News. So if y'all put like my first and last name in Google, you'll see the ABC News article. I got fired at the first day of Black History Month last February. And then I ended up taking the course in January. Then the course ended in March. And I've just been a full-time entrepreneur, getting into deals here locally and throughout the Carolinas, and much larger deals and much larger impact as well. So it's just been like a major, major snowball effect. And it's been something that I couldn't even had imagined going into it.
Mm. Amen to that, man. It's a good thing we don't have our cameras on, because my facial expressions have changed 3 or 4 times. He said I was let go on systemic racism, but look at me now. That's what's up.
Yes, sir. Yeah, man. So yeah, that's where we are, man. And now that same school that fired me, the principal got fired, and now we're having settlement conversations. So 2 games that I try to master is chess and Monopoly. Those are my 2 favorite games to play, because I'm always thinking ahead, and
Hey,
people don't even realize it until after they try you, and then they end up having to pay the consequence as a result.
word too. I play chess like every day, so we could
That's
definitely
fact.
connect on that.
Yes, sir. Let's get it, Justin. Yes, sir. Yeah, so does anyone have any other questions about deal flow or anything?
I was gonna ask, so so again, incredible story, just keeps getting better and better. A lot of times, not that all of them are fired before they become great. Like John Legend, I think, was a consultant at Booz Allen Hamilton, and was a singer part-time, and would go to the studio in the evening before he made it. But a lot of the successful people, within their story, they have that I was let go, or I was downsized, and then boom, I became this, incredible. You were already incredible to begin with. It's just the situation or the circumstance or that particular company didn't, you know, uh, readily see that value at the time. But anyway, so kudos to you again. The land development process. I know you went through like a pre-development due diligence system that you kind of go through. With this specific project that you're working on, when you got in that process of saying, hey, well, I'm acquiring this second parcel, 2.5 acres, did you already have a development partner? Or did you, find that person along the way for development of the land and construction of the buildings? Like, how did you source those partners?
Yeah, great question. And I appreciate the compliment as well, David. Again, I definitely don't take it lightly or for granted, or I don't even take it lightly that you guys showed up on the call. But um, by taking that development course that I had brought up and at the top of 2023, it really allowed my network to change as that developer had, I think it was like 25, maybe like 30 of us in that course with him that he was teaching. And so I was like introduced to architects, civil engineers, real estate investors. I got introduced to my guy, John Brockwell. He runs a family office right here in the city. And, you know, I initially was thinking that we was going to be like a team of Batman and Robin, me and the guy who taught me development, only for the guy to not be who I thought he was from like an integrity standpoint, as we had a deal that I was going to acquire the land and sell the initial property, and we were going to joint venture together, because I knew him having a ton of experience, him having all these townhome projects throughout the city of Charlotte. I thought that he would be a great person, a great fit. And we had an agreement, that I was going to acquire the land and he was going to reimburse me in cash for the land for the land acquisition. And since I made a great land deal, we're going to have an equity split on the back end and do a for sale model. But unfortunately, for my sake, and really, I guess fortunately, because everything happens for a reason, he didn't have the capital, and he didn't end up doing what he said he was going to do. So that left me in a bit of a conundrum, because I didn't have any income coming in as I got fired, and I had a family to feed, I had myself to feed, and a whole lot of expenses. So it forced me to figure it out. And in figuring it out, I had several conversations with high net worth individuals right here in the city, who wanted a piece of my deal, and I was entertaining it only for us to get pretty much at the negotiation table, and me realizing that they didn't want to play ball, and they was like set on their numbers, and their numbers were not favorable for me as the person that actually owned the land and had the deal. And I didn't like that. So that was like an X. So I was willing to walk away. I walked away from 3 or 4 different possible joint venture roles with developers here in Charlotte, because the numbers only favored their side and not my side. And I couldn't live with myself, even though I needed the money. So basically, I was forced to have to figure out, okay, who was going to be my architect, who was going to be my civil engineer, who was going to be my surveyor, who was going to provide me with the financing. And then when I met the guy who ran the family office in my development course that I took from my mentor, I asked him very deal specific questions, and he kind of took a liking to me because like my questions were so specific, because at the time I was in these land deals, and we started cultivating a relationship, and yeah, like we've been able to do some things just like that. So to answer your question, I don't have any partners. It's just me. It's a single member entity. Paradigm Shifters is a single member entity. I own the dirt, and I own my business 100%. And that's not to say that I won't bring a partner in, but but it has to be favorable on my end too, and not just their end.
Makes sense. Makes sense. So, so you have a single ownership structure. You're the owner, and then you source these different people through relationships you cultivated through that course and or some of the other projects you were on.
Yep, yes, sir. Yep, that's exactly what I do, and that's exactly what I did. And outside of just taking the course, I just took massive action and just kind of calling around and telling people about my story and telling them who I was, and they seen the hunger, and then they asked for documentation to show proof, and I had that documentation, and they were all impressed, and I just kind of just continued to move forward and get what I needed as they realized that I owned a deed, and they also realized that the land skyrocketed in value. So I knew that I could pretty much ask whatever I needed for the deal, and get those private money individuals bought out for each step of the process of the development piece.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you.
No problem, David.
Well, amazing. Obviously, digging into quite a bit, a lot in terms of different stages of developing on land, raising capital, the whole nine. I know we have about 5 minutes. We say about 6 minutes at the top of the hour. We typically try to wrap these up with about 5 minutes to go. Folks are obviously, feel free to stick around, keep the conversation going if there's more of an open discussion that folks want to have. But I'll open the floor up again just one more time for some more questions. Lamont, I see you popped off mute. Could have been by accident, potentially. But yeah, open the floor one more time for some any final questions for Markayle. Again, anything is could be thrown out there in terms of the stages to get a deal done.
Hey everybody, this is Lamont Mitchell. I'm sorry, I was just listening in. That's great information you guys have. I'm not into real estate as far as apartments and stuff like that, but I'm more of in the commercial real estate or in mining actually. So it's good to know the different laws. I do work with the 1031s and a couple other things. But yeah, that's a great story you got there. Congratulations, young man.
Thank you so much, Lamont. I really appreciate it. And since the deal is beyond 4 units, it's considered commercial, as it is 15 units as well. But yeah, I appreciate you brothers tuning in, and if anyone has any further questions, I'm definitely here for anything that y'all need. I just told y'all about one deal, but I am in several deals all at once simultaneously. And if I can be a resource, or if I can answer any questions for you guys, I'm definitely here. I even stopped my workout. I even stopped working out, mid workout, to once Jay sent me the text, I was like, yeah, let me go ahead and hop on. Because I wanted you guys to get this information for sure.
Hi, I don't know if you guys can hear me. I wasn't sure how to pop off of mute on Zoom, but it's Marvin Gunn calling from sunny San Diego. Happy Friday to everybody. Really enjoyed this session with Markayle. It's an absolutely fabulous story, very inspiring. And I just want to commend everybody for jumping on their Friday to listen to this and to learn from this. I've really enjoyed this space, a very safe space for us to get together and learn and commiserate and figure it out and determine what the next step is to continue to improve ourselves and our families and our outcomes. So, just blown away and happy to spend my Friday doing this.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for tuning in from, did you say San Diego or San Francisco?
San Diego.
Sandy, and what's your name again?
Marvin.
Marvin. Pleasure. Pleasure, Marvin. Thank you so much for tuning in and saying, you know, how much value you got from the conversation thus far. Really appreciate it.
No, thank you, brother.
Yes, sir. It's my pleasure.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I definitely look forward to continuing the conversation with you, Markayle, but this was my first, I guess, interaction with the BEM network. So, if we're doing hour calls and all this information is being shared, of course you can get information from YouTube, you can get information from, your own cohort at our jobs and the people at the gym, but this is something that, we're not talking about all the time with our college buddies, and so just the impact of this one conversation, it shows me that this is definitely a network to to keep in touch with and to take advantage of all the opportunities. So I just want to thank you for taking the time out. Thank you, Jay, for moderating, and definitely look forward to continuing these types of events and conversations.
1,000%. So we appreciate the feedback, guys. We're going to keep it going next month. Obviously, feel free to provide your feedback to Markayle or myself or Jewel after today's session. Let us know, what you liked, what you didn't like, what we can do better in terms of next month's session. But by all the feedback, it sounded like today was a great kickoff. So Markayle, way to go, sir.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Jay. Thank you so much for everyone who tuned in. And I have provided my contact information. If anyone want to reach out, you'll be able to see it inside of the chat. And I hope that you brothers have a wonderful weekend. And I'll definitely look forward to continuing to build with you guys.
All right, everyone, have a safe weekend. You guys take care.
Take care. Peace.
Likewise, later.
All right.
Thank you.
Good one. Hey, Lamont, you still there? Good, sir. Lamont, are you still there by any chance?
Oh, yes, I'm here.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How about yourself, brother?
I'm doing all right. That was a wonderful presentation. And I was glad to hear that you're on the commercial side of things.
Yeah, we're purchasing mining claims, so we're on a whole different level with what we're doing right now. Yeah, so that's a little more extreme than what most people want to think about, but it's very lucrative, especially with the way mining is going right now. So with the rush for minerals within the United States has really taken off.
I mean, after about 2-3 days ago, I completely agree.
Yeah. So, and there are so many minerals that people aren't aware of. Like, there are two that we have in 4 of our claims called rhodium and iridium. Everybody talks about the price of gold. Rhodium and iridium go for like almost $5,000 an ounce. And gold is barely at 3,000. So, it's all a smoke screen. They always say, "Look, Jay, pay attention to this over here," but they're over there making the real money. So, I'm glad I had the opportunity to get involved where I'm at right now, and looking forward to bringing the network to the table, man. And say, hey, we need some AUM on the amongst the team. This is the way to do it.
I completely agree. And I actually am thinking of mining.
Okay.
Specifically because
I think of whole, pretty much just all the different ways that you can be able to earn income, and that's from agriculture to mining to land just to have and own and occupy to oil to all of that. And I'm trying to see a way to be able to privatize that rather than go the Exxon and the BP model because they're publicly owned. I think that having private companies that are still doing so, yet we, as especially in BEM, don't have companies that are BEM owned and
You're right.
operated in these landscapes. And so that's where I personally am trying to be able to come in and will be doing, because that is on my mind, Lamont. 100%. And currently, my ordeal is I'm located over in Texas. And so I have been recently just understanding more about the Texas laws because I'm originally from Boston and learning. And I've spent the last about 4 or 5 years following how my parents were doing it because they moved out here before I did. And now I made the relocation over to the Lone Star State and really diving in completely. And I'm focused around Fort Worth and the DFW area.
Okay. Exactly where you're at. My favorite area around there is Frisco. So
Frisco. Okay. So you're seeing the new World Cup stadium.
Yeah. Well, I have family out that way, so yeah.
Okay. I visited there about like a month ago, and I was able to see like the World Cup stadium because I know that they'll be coming to Dallas when we have the FIFA World Cup, which is coming in 2026. And then we and just the fact that we're having that come to the United States of America means that America is good for the next 2 years. And then we have the Olympics in 2028 in Los Angeles. So America is good for another 4 years after that. And with the presidential election, I think that we have amazing opportunity to be able to have positive liquidity within the different asset regions.
Yeah, it's a good thing. Like last year, well, no, move your garbage can. I'm sorry, my cousin just went and got a car, and I had to drive his old beater back home, and he's trying to make me pull it in the garage. I'm like, dude, you could. I don't want to drive this car in the first place. So
well, congratulations on the new one.
Oh yeah, he got scared. I was like, dude, look, you only live once, all right? If you want to pay for a Range Rover, you make 6 figures, all right? Get what you want, you know.
Praise it.
Yeah. Right. So you know, you got tough talk him. He's like my little brother. So I told him, look, man, don't stop being scared. You know, you don't have no game, so you might as well get a car to pick up women. You're single. Get something to make you look better. You know.
Hey,
so
life.
Just
life. Praise it. Hey, you understand the game. There is a game that's going on.
Oh yeah, like with the Olympics and things like that. One of my partners, she's in California. She just sent me a listing of luxury 5-star hotels that's off market. That's for sale.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, wow, this is a heck of a time to buy it because of course the Olympics is coming. You'll get your money right away because you can pre-sell it. You know, but by 2026 you'll be sold out. You know, I mean these are high ticket hotels. These aren't like Holiday Inn or anything like that. These are like luxury 5-star hotels. You know,
I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm in a lot of different spaces, but the mining is one of the things I'm focused on right now. And then I just signed a contract. You want to go in and see real quick? Not really. I'm on the phone, but I'll go in. No, he got him a new house too, so he's doing it this week.
God bless it.
He's doing good. I'm proud of him. So but I just ordered 2 pallets of electric vehicle chargers. From and I'm gonna have an exclusive contract with this company out of China. This is big, dude. Out of China to be their distributor for North America. So how I'm going to start that is I'm going to take the ones we have now that's coming in, and take the ones I have coming in on this first shipment and go to like hotel. Oh no, go ahead. Do what you gotta do. Okay, cool. I'll be out in a second. Go to apartment complexes that do not have electric vehicle chargers, and hey, I can install them and everything for you, and that's easy money. You know what I'm saying? Because now everybody wants an electric car, especially with us moving to electric cars in 2030, and also we have with the contract we have with them, we'll be setting up a solar farm. You know. Yeah, so we're in electric vehicles. I'm in water treatment. I'm in a lot of different good spaces, where it's a lot of money in the air. So I welcome the conversation, man. I was gonna say drop your number in the chat, but I think I can. Well, you're in the group, right?
I am in the group.
Okay.
I also have my phone right with me.
Okay, I'll give you my number. Just
sure.
text me.
I'm ready.
We can continue this. My number is 702 283 9502.
702-283-9502.
That's correct.
All right. And that is Lamont Mitchell.
Yeah. So yeah, we're man, I'm waiting. I'm gonna talk to Jack later on today, and then there's another brother from the group that's reached out to me, and I talked to Kamar yesterday. So
are you in the space where you have capital to be able to distribute, or what's your side of things, being able to provide the deals?
Provide the deals, and I have two groups right now, one from Canada and another one down in Texas. They're giving me 25 million a piece, so I'm about to engage with them next week. So we'll have the capital to get started. Right now, I'm raising about $500,000 to put down payments, and also to get the engagement started and all that stuff. So I have a lot. Like I said, I can break it down for you.
I'm understanding. So far, I understand. I'm seeing where the different angles that you're covering too, from, and being able to have that check size of like 25 million, you're able to go get the land acquisition, go be able to purchase all the necessary overhead that probably is coming in.
Well, with the 25, that's going to allow me to purchase two of them. I've two owners I've been working with for the past 2 years that have been trying to sell their claims, and they've given me the deal of a lifetime. One gave me 160 acres for $10 million, and that has about $8 billion worth of minerals on it.
Yeah.
And another one gave me 80 acres. It's giving me 80 acres for $5 million, and that has almost I think more than 2 billion, but he said 2 billion because they only went down 10 feet. So the vein runs about 250 feet. So there's no telling what the real value is right now. They're undervalued.
I see where you're coming from on that side as well.
Oh yeah.
Did you have like a deck that you presented, or how were you able to go and get forth that 25?
I have they're called national instruments, the NI 43101. These are geological reports that are done on the properties, and they're in Pinal County, Arizona, which is rich in gold and minerals, all type of stuff down there. Arizona is really known for copper, but they're also known for gold. They're located in the desert, so it makes it a lot easier. My take on it is we'll start out right now, since it's like the cooler months of the year, with regular workers, but by the summer, we want to ramp up and start using robotics to do the location, because I don't want to kill nobody,
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, bro, let me jump off and just text me your number and I'll call you when I get to the house with your
Yes, I appreciate that. Love to continue that. And I did send you a text already, so you'll see it, and it's Stefan Jackson.